For those of you who don't know me, my name is Meryl Dorey, and I'm the founder of the Australian Vaccination Network, now called the Australian Vaccination Risks Network, back in 1994. And I've been working on this issue since my eldest child was vaccine injured back in 1989. So a lifetime ago, basically. It's lovely to see you all here. Thank you so much for joining me. And I plan on informed choice being sort of like Under the Wire, where we will have interviews, but also one-on-ones. I may, depending on how many people come, I may try and do the Q&As on Zoom, only because on Zoom I can actually see you and you can talk to me, not just chat. But we'll see how we go with that, okay? But in the meantime, I really appreciate everyone's coming. Now, the two people who asked questions are Robin Stevenson and let me just get this open, Carol Road. I'm not sure if I'm saying the last name right. Robin and Carol, are you here by any chance? I know I'm a little bit early too. I started a few minutes early. Oh, Pradama, you lost me. Are you back again? If you guys can hear me, just say a quick hi in the chat. I don't know what happened. It's still showing that it's live on my end. So is anybody able to hear me and see me? I all right, good. It may be something on Pradama's end. I'm not sure. I hope she can come back again. So, Carol Road, are you here by any chance? I don't know how I can check. Oh, great, Belinda. Thank you so much. And thank you too, Michaela. I appreciate that. Um, I don't know if Carol is here. But if she's not, you know what? I'm going to give it a couple of minutes because this is ridiculous. It's only 7:29 and this wasn't supposed to start until 7:30. So, thank you all so much. Can everybody do me a quick favor and just write a quick message and say where you're joining from, what state in Australia, or if you're overseas, where you're joining from? I'd love to see that. That would be great. And I've got 21 people here right now, which quite honestly, I wasn't expecting that many people. That's wonderful. That's really lovely. New South Wales, thanks, Belinda. And Perth. I don't know if it's that cold where you are, but it's freezing here. Perth, another Perth person. We've got a couple of people from WA. Melbourne, my sympathies for you. Byron Bay, Glenda, you're right near me. Northern New South Wales, me too, Anne. Just outside of Bangalow. Yes. Okay. New South Wales. Fantastic. Yeah, it's cold, isn't it? Yeah, I think today's the coldest day we've had, and I think it's a full moon. I'm not sure, but the sky is so clear for the first time in ages. Alora, Queensland. Is that the Gold Coast? Hi, Bernie. Good to see you. Mornington, Melbourne. That's a beautiful part of the world. That's so pretty down there. So, yeah. So I might just get started now that it's 7:31. And if Carol's not here, she can catch up on the recording. And you know what? I don't like this. She could come and join later. Does anybody who's here have any questions? And I'll start with questions from here. Three hours from the Gold Coast. Okay, I didn't realize that. So I thought there's a place on the Gold Coast that sounds like Alora, but it must not be. It's another name. Um, So if anybody has any questions for me, just put them in the chat and I will be happy to try and answer them. So just let me know. Otherwise, I want to give, Carol another couple of minutes to get here because I did start early tonight. I wasn't sure if there were going to be issues with getting online. I've never done this before, so it's very exciting. Learning as I go. Eleonora, that might be it. Yes, I think you're right. Eleonora. Absolutely. So hi, Sharon, and hi, Fiona, and hi, Eleni. Good to see you. I hope I pronounced your name right, Eleni. Good to see you here. I was just asking everyone to say where they're joining from. So if you feel like putting it down in the chat. Let me know where you're joining from. So, ugh, I just got a warning that my internet connection is unstable, so I hope we're still connected. Oh, good. I was just able to close the keyboard, so I've got more room here. I hope you guys can hear me because my internet is obviously playing up a little bit. Mm. Hi, Gumnut. Good to see you. All right, well, I might just get started on Carol's question. Hi from the Central Coast, Launceston. Nick, it must be very cold down there. So, but I love that part of the world. Launceston is one of my favorite places in Australia. I'd move to Tasmania tomorrow if I could. Yep, loud and clear. Excellent, Glenda. So that's fantastic. All right, I'm going to read you Carol's question. I'm not sure I understand it 100%, so I was really hoping she would be there, but I'll do my best. The question is, where is the most reliable source to stay informed about child immunization schedules and vaccine injury and death probabilities? The medical industry is good at not informing people about everything. And actually, Carol, they're very good at not informing people about anything. Now, as far as this child immunization schedules or vaccination schedules, in Australia, and I'm not sure if you're in Australia, Carol, but I'm going to assume you are, the Australian Government Department of Health, Disability and Aging has on their website the national immunization program and links to all the state programs. Believe it or not, there is a national immunization schedule, and then each state has its own immunization schedule. They are not all exactly the same, and they're not exactly the same for every Australian either. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children get more vaccines than Caucasian children or children from other races. Supposedly because they're more susceptible to other diseases. But we know that, especially from books like Every Second Child by Archie Kalakarinas, that Aboriginal children tend to be more susceptible to problems from vaccination. He called his book Every Second Child because when he was working at Kalarannabri, as a doctor, he was seeing every second child. 50% of the Aboriginal children there were dying following vaccination. So he stopped vaccinating. And for the 10 years that he was a doctor in that community, not one child died. But if you want to see the schedule, then go to it's health.gov.au and then just type into the search immunization schedule and you'll get to the page where all of that is. As far as the second part of your question, let me just get it back up here again. Hang on one sec. All right, the second part, how to stay informed about child immunization schedules. No, sorry, vaccine injury and death probabilities. In order to know what the probability is of death following vaccination or injury following vaccination, you need to have studies. And the government does not conduct these studies. No government conducts these studies. That's one of the problems with vaccination. We have a lot of clinical data to show that children and adults are being injured and killed in large numbers by vaccines. But there is no impetus for the drug companies to actually study this. Why would they? They're making a fortune out of vaccination. So it would not be in their best financial interests to actually find out what they're doing and whether it's causing harm or not. They know it's causing harm. We know it's causing harm. They know it doesn't work. Vaccines aren't effective. There has never been a vaccine that's prevented a disease, and I dare anyone to actually show me a study that shows that it does. Vaccines don't prevent disease, they cause disease. So, in order to become informed about vaccine injury and death probabilities, there are some websites like OpenVAERS. That's openvaers.com. That's a group in the United States that does amazing work. And what they do, VAERS is the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System. And it is a government database that is completely ignored because we're told that it's anecdotal. The reports that are put in there are not listened to, but it is a database that has been running since 1991 or 89. I can't remember what year it started. It was around that time. Hi, Rock. How you going? And so VAERS collect data that's been reported by parents and by doctors and other health professionals who report vaccine injuries or vaccine deaths. And we are told that because there is no follow-up, really, these reports could be totally anecdotal and unrelated. So every single reaction and death that happens after a vaccine is coincidental, but every single death or injury that happens after an infection is related to the infection. This is the way science works. So Open VAERS made the VAERS data easier to find and easier to understand. And it's a really good website. They have a page. I was really hoping that using this service, I could share screenshots, but I can't. So that's good, Rock. I'm glad. So I can share screenshots, but what I will do is I'm not sure exactly when I finish this broadcast how it's going to save on Substack. If it saves as a post, then in the post I will put links to all these things and I will make sure it's shared that way. If not, I will make a post specifically and share it that way. Hang on a second. Channel 9 Queensland tonight, starting a fear campaign. COVID on the rise. Go in and get your booster. Oy. They have no shame. Absolutely no shame. We know, and they know. It's not a secret. They've actually admitted this. They know that the COVID jabs, the experimental genetic modification injections, don't prevent infection with COVID. They don't prevent spread of COVID, and they don't prevent any sort of serious illness due to COVID, if COVID exists, which I don't think it does, but that's my personal opinion. So the fact that they're telling people to go out and get jabbed is probably related to what's being spread overseas in the UK and across Europe, which is that there is a new strain of COVID. There's always a new strain of COVID. And this one can kill you within 48 hours. Now, they have no new vaccine. Um, there is a new one that is looking to be approved. It was actually approved in the United States, which is shameful. It has not been tested against an inert placebo, even though Kennedy said that no vaccines would be approved without placebo trials. So it was never tested against a placebo. It was tested against the old vaccine, the old injection. But I think that's what's behind that, is the fact that they're trying to drum up fear on the COVID so that they can sell some more of these jabs. And if we're using the jabs in Australia, we are not using the new one. We're using the same old jab that was for the original COVID that happened in 2000. It's nothing to do with the ones that are around now, if there is a COVID around now. And you know what? I know this is going to sound really, really harsh. I see people out there who are looking at this thing and getting scared and thinking, oh, I need to get a vaccine. If you are at this point in time, 5 years into this whole scamdemic, if you are still scared of COVID, if you are still thinking that a vaccine is going to protect you, you need to turn your TV off, number one. And number two, really and truly, I don't feel there's any hope for you. It's beyond a joke that people are still buying this line of bull. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So hang on, there's something else here. Melbourne, worse still, there are ads on TV encouraging pregnant women to get an RSV shot to protect their unborn. The RSV injection is a new one, and in the pre-licensure trials, there were very concerning reactions and deaths in those trials. And RSV is basically, it's not a serious infection, especially not in a country like Australia where we have decent nutrition for the most part and good living conditions. So the fact that it's another basically upper respiratory infection, and the fact that they are trying to get they're trying to give it to pregnant women. Number one, it's never been tested in pregnancy, but then No vaccine has ever been tested in pregnancy, and they're giving it to babies. How many vaccines are people actually going to get their little babies? Do they realize how many shots and how many injections, not injections, but how many vaccines are being given in one visit? With the RSV, I think it could be 11. And that's insane because my son, who was born in 1989 and reacted to his vaccines, he would have gotten 4 vaccines at one time: diphtheria, tetanus, whooping cough, and polio. And now the idea that someone can be getting 11 vaccines in one visit, well, it's amazing to me that anybody actually survives that. It's crazy. Now, Carol, I hope that I answered your question. Oh, sorry, there was one more website that I wanted to give you, and that's the Australian Vaccination Network website, of course, which is avn.org.au. And as I said, I will share these links. But the AVN has been running in Australia for over 31 years now, and their website has an incredible amount of information, including links to the package inserts, which is the information for every vaccine that I urge anyone who is considering getting a vaccination for themselves or for their children to avail themselves of that information. Read the ingredients of the vaccines, read the side effects, the known side effects to the vaccines, and also read the contraindications, which are reasons why the vaccine may not be appropriate for everyone. I don't think it's appropriate for anyone, but if you are considering going for a jab, please make sure you get that information first, and it's linked on the AVN website. I'm sorry about my dog barking outside. I think we've got foxes, and they might be around the house, and she's protecting the chickens. So Um, all right. So the other question that I have before I go on to it, because this is a really long one. First of all, is Robin Stevenson here? And second of all, does anybody else have any questions? Ah, Robin. Oh, good. Okay, that's good. I'm glad. Hi, Robin. I'm glad you're here. All right. I'm glad you can't hear the dog too much because it sounds pretty loud to me, but hopefully my phone's just not picking it up. All right. So Robin sent in a question that is very long. And Robin, I have to be honest with you. I only read through a little bit of these articles. I did not read them thoroughly. I just didn't have time, but I plan on doing that. And I'd love to talk to you about it. But I'd like to read your question in full only because I think people really need to hear what you've said. It's quite shocking. And so if you're okay with that, I'm going to read the whole question in full. Just wondering what your thoughts are on these 2 linked papers, and I will share the links to these papers because they're important to know about and to see. I found the first paper by Marco Alessandria et al. Quite disturbing. It does show a huge reduction in life post jabs, up to 37%, which might equate to up to 30 years of life compared to the average lifespan. So basically, cutting your life in half. That's what they're saying with these jabs. But I'm not reading about it anywhere else. I'm shocked. Absolutely shocked. I have heard about this study. I saw a couple of people talk about it on Twitter. I can't remember who, but I've definitely seen a couple of people talk about it on Twitter. And I meant to get a copy of the article and then I forgot about it. So I'm grateful to you for sharing it. Um, Let me see. The massive increase in life reduction seems like it might be a serious problem. Do you think? So maybe you can discuss your thoughts on this. If true, and if this can be extrapolated out over time, then we're potentially going to have a whole generation of people not making it to retirement age. And I've just discovered a problem. Okay, now I can see this. I have to scroll back up because I saw someone. I can't scroll. Okay, someone posted something just before. There we go. I'm having trouble scrolling. Yeah, okay, it was Robin. I got you. All right. So, Robin, I know that it was gosh, I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it uh was it Robert Malone who said that we're going to see increasing numbers of deaths as we go further and further from the COVID jabs. So, only a small number of people are going to be dying in the very close proximity to getting the jab, but it's the long-term deaths and disabilities that we're going to be seeing piling up. Now, I have been watching something happening in China. I don't know how many of you have been seeing this, but entire cities of like 2 million people are empty. They're completely empty. The buildings, there is nobody living there. And the Chinese government isn't saying what happened to these people. Now, China used a different vaccine for COVID. They used a protein vaccine, and it's it's kind of, they said that it was going to be safer than the mRNA. But from all appearances, what's happening in China right now is, yeah, Robin said the deaths later on are what's been worrying her. And I think that's a lot of people feel that way. There are a lot of people. There was another study that came out around the same time as the one you shared that looked at the hearts. I think they did echocardiograms. They looked at the hearts of a large number of people who'd gotten the COVID jab, and they found that every single one of their hearts had been adversely affected. This was not a 10 in 100 or 50 in 100. This was 100 in 100 had their hearts damaged in some way by these jabs. And heart damage is not the only problem. The most common issue has been neurological. So the neurological problems have been just through the roof. Yeah, Robin says, I've also read some information about a lot of people dying in China. Yes. And because the Chinese government is not exactly forthcoming with information, we may never know what's happening over there. But they are saying, now, first of all, the whole 1.2 or 1.3 billion people, that was always a lie. Um, the number of people in China was estimated to be somewhere between 600 and 800 million, according to what I'd read. Now, they are saying that there are 400 million people living in China. I don't know if that's true, but from what I read, about half of the population is gone. And if that's the case, it it it's crazy how that many people could die and nobody's aware of it outside of the country. But the people in China are very aware of it because they're losing their families. They're losing their family members. And if the whole COVID situation was a depopulation agenda, which a lot of people believe it was, then it looks like they are getting their wishes, whoever planned this. Because China's very coy about letting out what's going on in their country. Yes, they're more than coy about it. They're completely covering it up. So I believe that we are going to continue to see people dying unexpectedly, and doctors are going to continue to be baffled by it. And it's not old people, it's going to be young people. Every day, almost on Twitter, and I still call it Twitter, almost every day, I read about someone, a young athlete or a young child in school just dying suddenly. And that didn't used to happen. I'm old enough to remember when that did not used to happen. So I think that this study that you're talking about, and I haven't read it, as I said, I have not read the study. I think that it is probably spot on, and it's tragic, and I feel worst about the kids because they had no choice. They were just taken to be given the jabs. Um, and any parent at this point in time who is taking their children for a COVID jab needs their head read. Because I think that there's enough information out there to at least make people question not to do it. Um, ask questions before they actually make this decision. But I do believe that there are going to be people who are going to be just doing this. And it's sad. It's really, really sad. I'm going to continue with your letter because this next bit is really crazy. Um, I've seen just at my hubby's martial arts class, 3 kids out of maybe 20 kids over the past year have Bell's palsy, 11 years old, a stroke, 10 years old, and a case of random amnesia, possibly from a mini stroke, 15 years, all in COVID jabbed kids. I'm actually really concerned about the future of these jabbed people, especially since these problems are happening years after the initial jabs. Although the stroke boy probably was having more COVID jabs since his mom works at a local hospital. And it's not just COVID that you see this happening with. All vaccines, every single vaccine can have short-term side effects and long-term side effects. And, you see a lot of things like diabetes and other um, autoimmune conditions that may happen months or years after a vaccine. And as a result, they're never associated with the vaccine, but they are associated with the vaccine in many cases. So it's not surprising that we're going to see the same things happening with the COVID jabs. Yes, we all know about people having medical episodes or dying soon after the initial jabs, but this is now almost 4 years post jabs, and we're still seeing problems and nasty ones, and in kids too. And there aren't many studies looking at the kids, not for anything other than myocarditis. That's true. Even in the second paper linked below, there was only one study looking at 12 to 16-year-olds, and the rest were all age 16 or above. And yet the vaccine was given to children as young as 6 months of age. And I don't know if you've seen, but the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine, they're trying to bring the age of the MMR down to, I think, 3 months of age, because they're saying that infants are getting measles now, which never used to happen. If you as a mother had had measles and you gave birth to a child, you passed on placental immunity to that child that would have protected them until between 12 and 18 months of age, by which time they were basically not going to have problems from measles unless they were malnourished or had some underlying condition. So the fact that they were giving this to babies 6 months of age when none of these people were at risk, even if you believe that COVID is a risk to anyone, babies and children and healthy young adults were not at risk from COVID. That is admitted. Um, you're kidding me about, yes. No, I'm not kidding you. They haven't done it yet, but they're trying to. Yeah. And we are going to see huge problems with that. And I might do, because the MMR vaccine, there's a lot of reasons why it wasn't given before 12 months of age. It used to be given at 18 months of age. And I think there's a whole Q&A session just on the MMR vaccine and the schedule and how it works. I don't necessarily want to go into it a lot now because it is a big subject, but the fact that they're trying to do this is an act of desperation. And I think it's because so many people since COVID are not vaccinating their children. The vaccine rates have gone down substantially. We're not getting the exact figures, but they've gone down substantially. And I think what happened was in the first year, people were not able to take their children to the doctor because the clinics simply weren't open for face-to-face consultations. And then they started seeing that their kids were fine. So they said, well, screw it. I'm not going to get it. And I think that they're continuing to do that. And so all of these fear campaigns, the COVID that can kill you in 48 hours, and the fact that, oh my God, we've got so much whooping cough going around now, and we've got measles coming back, and it's all because of these horrible anti-vaxxers. I think that they're basically terrified that they're never going to get the people back to take the jabs that they used to take. So I take heart in that. It shows that people are actually starting to think, I hope. So I'm going to continue. The next paper had the authors inserting all sorts of dodgy lines, so the darned paper got published. And I could see that very clearly, just like you could. But the risks post-jab are quite large if you go looking at the data. And it does look at 85 million jabs, so it is worth looking at from that perspective. Now, I've got this paper open here. And as I said, both this paper and the other one that Robin is referring to are open access. So you can get the actual full article. And I will put the links either on this broadcast, if that's the way Substack saves it, or I will make a separate Substack and put the links there. The name of the article is I should have taken a drink with me. COVID-19 vaccination and cardiovascular events, a systematic review and Bayesian multivariate meta-analysis of preventive benefits and risks. And what that basically means is they looked at 11 different studies that altogether looked at 85 million people, 85 million jabs. Now, they weren't people because some of the jabs were given 2 and 3 times. So I don't think it was 85 million people. I may have read it wrong, but that was my understanding. And it's interesting because there were some really serious problems that came out in this study. But the conclusion of in the abstract, I don't know if you caught this, Robin, I'm sure. The conclusion says secondary analysis showed no notable disparity in cardiovascular outcomes between BNT162b2 and mRNA vaccines. The association of COVID-19 vaccination with the risk of coronary artery disease should be considered in future vaccine technologies for the next pandemic. See, they're saying for the next pandemic because it's already planned. They know the next pandemic is having it. Yeah. Oh, okay, good. I'm sorry. I missed that. Robin says she did say jabs, not people in her email. Yeah, because I thought you said 85 million people and it wasn't. Some people got 1, some people got 2, some people got 3. And you know the saying, garbage in, garbage out? This article is a perfect example of that because they studied 11, it's a meta-analysis, meaning they basically took other articles and analyzed them and put them together. And the fact is that from what I could read, and again, I only read this really briefly, I did not read through the whole article, but from what I saw, there were no placebos in any of these studies. They they were very cagey about this. They said unvaccinated or inactive vaccine. Now, inactive vaccine to me means a vaccine without the COVID in it. So it's the lipid nanoparticles, all of the other toxic ingredients in the jab, and that was used as a placebo. And the medical definition of a placebo is a substance which has no effect on the body, no physiological effect. Saline solution, a sugar pill. Those are the only true placebos, or water. Um, so they did not use a placebo in any of these studies. And interestingly, they said they excluded certain studies. And the studies that were excluded, I didn't see what Peter said. Oh, I'm missing the comments because I'm talking too much. I was an anti-vaxxer. Oh, I hate this. Till the cope. I was an anti-vaxxer till the COVID vax arrived. Then I became a never vaxxer. I like it. I like it. So you have to dig deeper into that article to actually find real facts. That's why Slay News article accompanying it was quite useful because it pulled out the useful data. Yes, it did. And I kind of thought that Slay was a very mainstream publication, but maybe I'm confusing it with something else, maybe Slate. But I will put links to the Slay article also. What they said in their exclusions, I found really interesting because they said, furthermore, many of these studies are based on case reports and case series without control group comparisons. Now, they didn't have control group comparisons in the studies they included. They simply used another vaccine. But to my mind, having studied this for 35 years almost, I will take one clinical trial. I will take one case series before I'll take 100 epidemiological studies, because to me, epidemiology is a junk science. And epidemiology is basically population-based studies. So you look at a whole population, and based on that, you try to pull out effects that are important. But you will miss most of them in epidemiology. Yes. Well, actually, in the original Gardasil study, Robin is saying the Gardasil study where they used meningococcal as the placebo. In the original one that was done by Merck, they actually used 225 micrograms of aluminium, which is the adjuvant that was used in the vaccine. So the one group got the vaccine, one group got 225 micrograms of aluminium. I'm sure there was another study that used meningococcal as a placebo, a nocebo, as I like to call it. But the fact is that no vaccine has ever been tested large scale against the placebo. You will find some studies that have used, and in that original Gardasil study, there was a group that got a saline solution placebo. But what they did was when they wrote the conclusions, they mixed the people who got the saline solution with the people who got the 225 micrograms of aluminium, so you couldn't separate them. You couldn't see what was what. So, yeah. Oh, hi, Penny. Good to see you. Um, so I'm missing a lot of people when you join, and I'm sorry. It's because I'm reading this. I will try and see you better. So, another thing, I've highlighted a few things in here just because I wanted to pull them out and bring people's attention to them, aside from the fact that they excluded clinical studies and case series. A case series is basically a group of people who got a procedure or a vaccine or a drug, and they just looked at each one of them. Hi, Adam. Good to see you. They just looked at each one of them and then studied each one. And the original study by Andrew Wakefield on ileal lymphoid hyperplasia, which took me so long to learn how to say, that was a case series. And I feel it was a very, very scientific study because it was a case series. They actually looked at the people instead of looking at the population. So they excluded all of those case series and clinical studies. It says, additionally, the aim is to provide comprehensive details on the demographic and clinical characteristics of both vaccinated and unvaccinated groups, but they didn't really have an unvaccinated group. They may have had people, and I haven't looked at it, but they grouped together the unvaccinated and inactive vaccine according to what I'm seeing here. And again, I could have read it wrong, but this is what I'm seeing. So they're trying to find out what happened in each group. We excluded narrative and systematic review case report studies or original papers that lacked available data. Additionally, articles written in languages other than English were excluded from the review, which I can understand. I mean, they don't speak all these other languages, so they wouldn't have known about it. 11 studies were included in the primary analysis. 4 were conducted in Hong Kong, 2 were related to England, and the remaining studies took place in the United States, Malaysia, Thailand, Israel, France, and Korea. Additionally, blah, 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 such individuals either did not receive any vaccine or were given inactive vaccines. Okay, so I'm wrong. They did have unvaccinated people. Excuse me. They definitely did in the control group. And 4 studies analyzed the outcomes of the first and second doses of vaccine. 2 studies looked at the effects of the first, second, or third doses, while the remaining studies focused on either the first dose or any dose of the vaccine. This is an important study because if you don't look at the abstract, but actually read what's in there, yeah, yes, pharmacology is morphed into science fiction. That is so true, Peter. Um, so it is important. And this is the thing with looking at studies from peer-reviewed journals or from any sort of journal that is not going to get published unless it toes the party line or the pharmaceutical party line. A lot of times you will find that the abstract has little to no relation to what the actual results of the study were. So, and this study is a great example of that because when you look at the actual study, you will find huge cause for concern with this COVID vaccine. But the abstract sort of brushes it all off and says, yeah, aside from some CAPD, um, the 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 vaccines itself were not associated with any problems related to the heart, and we know that's not true. And the study itself knows it's not true. So, yeah, I think, Robin, that these are really good studies for people to look at and to share, and to try and figure out why it is that we are not getting this information from the government, from the media, and do they really care about us? And I know they don't. I know they don't. I think that our governments, and I'm not just talking about Australia, I'm talking about most Western governments, are genocidal psychopaths. There are some good people in the government, but most of them really and truly either don't care whether we live or die or are actively involved in killing us. And I don't know what the answer is to that. I really don't. I know that I have no respect for the government. And in the United States, I'm really hoping that Bobby Kennedy does what he said he was going to do. Um, I don't know if you heard that he's fired every single person from the immunization advisory committee. They're the people who recommend approving or not approving vaccines, though I think there's only ever been one time they didn't recommend an approval. So as long as they get their paychecks and kickbacks. Yeah, exactly. And when I look at someone like Albo, um, he's so obviously a know-nothing when it comes to this issue and so many other issues. Uh, and you have to wonder, how the heck did he get into that position? And he was not elected. He was selected, just like so many other people, just like Macron, just like Keir Starmer. They did not win. They were put into office. They were installed. Yeah, that's being kind. I don't believe a word the medical industry says anymore. And I think that you will always be healthier, happier, and better off if you disbelieve each way elbow, if you disbelieve everything that you are told by the government, by the mainstream media, and by the medical authorities. And I'm not talking about doctors, because there are some good doctors, but I'm talking about the medical authorities. I don't think they're telling you the truth, and I don't think you're going to be shocked to hear that. But they are absolutely not telling you the truth. It's all theater, absolutely. And yes, have you noticed Albo's speech impediment has gotten worse over time? Small strokes can cause that too. Do you think he got the jab? Because I kind of thought he faked it, but maybe he did. He reminds me now of Elmer Fudd, physically too, actually. The way he talks, he's very much like Elmer Fudd, and he's an embarrassment, I think, for this country. My husband told me today, and I'm not sure, I haven't read it myself, but he said that Albo's getting married, and the taxpayer is footing the bill for the wedding because he said that it's like a cultural thing for Australia. So, yeah, he didn't win the election. Or is he just drunk? That's possible. That's possible, Colleen. Selected, not elected. And that includes Trump, I'm afraid. I don't believe that, but it's anything is possible. Anything is possible, Julie. They work for the pharmaceutical industry and for corporations and for whoever is pulling the strings that we don't even know about. You know, there's the elite, but then there's the people who are absolutely in charge. So I'm so glad others have noticed his speech issues. Yeah. It's rabbit season. Do you guys remember, there was a Monty Python movie, um, The Life of Brian, and there was someone in there who had that speech impediment, and they used to make fun of him, and he was giving a speech once, and someone paged, Roger the Robber, and he said, "Is Roger the Wobber here? Roger the Wobber." His marriage, yes, that's what my husband told me. Again, I have not checked it. I have not checked it, but I know that there was like hundreds of millions of dollars spent on the road to his new house at the beach, which, you know, if he thinks that global warming is real, why did he build a house at the beach, really? But yeah, it's from what I understand. And again, I have to check this myself. I will do that afterwards. But my husband told me that today, and I don't think he would lie. He may have heard it and it wasn't true from wherever he heard it. But yeah, this is the kind of government we have. Because I'm not going to repeat that, Colleen, but yeah, it's funny. Oh dear. So free water, that was it. Okay. He comes across as a complete creep. Maybe it's just his wobbly lips. Yeah, I wouldn't trust him with my kids, let's put it that way. I listened to Albo's speech over many years in Parliament. He's slowed down a lot and has more problems with the letter S now, a noticeable lisp. Surely, with how much money he earns, you couldn't blame that lisp on bad dentures. No, I don't think you could either. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And when you think about it, we have a government that is not the best and the brightest. Um, and you would think the government should be really and truly the cream of the cream, and they're not at all. And the only way they got elected, I think, is because there was so much voter fraud. In Australia, politicians and the judiciary were exempt from mandates because of constitutional issues. Is that the same constitution that was supposed to protect us? Yes, absolutely. And it was the same in the United States. He had his teeth fixed a few years ago. He must have gotten wooden dentures. Um, there was something else I wanted to tell you. This thing that's coming in for superannuation, where it's going to be taxed based on um, unrealized gains in your superannuation. Government is exempt from that too. So politicians are not going to be subject to that tax that's going to take a percentage of unrealized gains. Yeah, we're just the plebs. They have their own rules. We're entirely expendable, remember? Very true, Robin. The Trump team is amazing. Tulsi, RFK, Vance. I'm disappointed in RFK, but I think he still has a chance. He took elocution lessons from Julia Gillard. Oh my God, you guys are really good. So yeah, it's kind of shocking what's happening in the world. A career politician, no real life, hard yaki. He's a communist. He is such a communist. Um, Tax was normally on money earned, not potentially earned. Yeah. And I only just realized, because I don't prepare my own taxes. We're part of a company. So the whole company gets taxed. And I just realized that Australia's taxes are 45% to 50%. How dare the government take half of everything you work your butt off to make? But we are here. I did not think this would happen in my lifetime. He's a Trotsky devotee. He is. He absolutely is. He's not a socialist. So many people are saying we have a socialist government. We do not. We have a communist government right now. We're living in a communist country. And we didn't vote for this. I don't know anyone who voted for this, actually, for communism. But you don't vote for communism, do you? That's the whole point. It's just installed. So does anyone else have any questions about vaccination? Doesn't know his arse from his elbow. um, they're all communists. They are. I mean, there are some good people here. I wish Gerard Rennick had gotten back into the Senate, but it's good that there are more independents and 3 One Nations or 4 One Nations in the Senate. And I don't know how you feel about One Nation. I'm very angry with them for not voting when the vote was held for the hate speech, the so-called hate speech legislation. But I do think that when it comes to issues of rights, they will be very helpful in the Senate, especially if there is no very strong majority for labor. Why don't they all join together? Penny, when there was a coalition and uh, what's his name? Sorry. It was UAP, though they're not UAP anymore. What are they called? Trumpet of Patriots. And and One Nation. Gerard Rennick got all the other parties, Hart and everyone else, to come together. And One Nation and Trumpet of Patriots refused to join in. Yeah, Hart Party was part of that coalition. Um, and I think that we would have had many more people in the Senate and maybe even a few more people in the House of Representatives if they had done that. Is any constitution still valid? No, not in Australia, it's not, because the Constitution doesn't get a look in. The High Court does not represent the Constitution. The judicial system is totally broken. And we saw that really clearly when we took our case against the government during COVID, that the courts, the whole system that we rely upon, the separation of powers, it's no longer in effect. So Pauline Hanson will never join forces with the other small parties or independents. Remember, she was jailed wrongfully thanks to collusion between Howard and Abbott. Yeah, but they were the major parties. I know that she was, and amazing that she came back. But the minor parties, they could have all gotten together and they would have had so much more power. Someone suggested to me we all need to join the Liberal Party and take it over like the Trump team with the Republicans. I know that Monica Smith is big on that. And I don't know. I honestly don't know. I feel that if Alex Antich were able to be the leader of the Liberals, then I'd be all for it. But with Susan Ley, with two S's, I don't think that we're going to get a look in with that. People can try it. I mean, we've tried everything, so why not? Let's give it a shot. But um, I believe that the minor parties are where it's going to be. And I haven't even paid that much attention to the final outcome of the Senate. Did any Teals get in? I don't think they did. I don't think any Teals won. So I was very disappointed to hear that I forget her name now. The one from Victoria who was a Green and she left the Greens and started her own party, that she actually got in, and I thought she hadn't. Um, Anybody remember her name? Uh, I can't remember. Anyway, we started talking about vaccination, and here we are in politics. But politics is a big part of this because uh, with the political situation we're in right now, it's going to be really difficult to overturn any sort of mandates that they want to bring in. One nation doesn't play well with others. That's true. The original Constitution is on display in Canberra under a glass panel, like an archaeological artifact. Yeah, if only we hadn't gone away from that. Gerard Rennick is working for his new party and plans to open other branches support him. He is, as far as I'm concerned, he and Malcolm Roberts. I mean, Malcolm is amazing. He and Malcolm Roberts are the best people in Parliament, I think. And yeah, I really do. I wish he was in Parliament now. I like that the Nationals split from the Libs. Shame that they got back together. Now, I didn't even know they got back together, Robin. Shows you how much I've been paying attention. So that's a shame. That is a shame. LNP is in a whole world of pain. Hi, Lee. Good to see you. Did Albo sign the WHO treaty? Penny Wong signed the WHO treaty. Yes, we are signed up to the WHO treaty. Of course, those dingbats agree with the WHO treaty. Yeah, I know. They're idiots. Something else that slipped under the radar during the election, our superannuation funds went to the U.S. to meet with J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Bank of America. Do people remember the global financial crisis? We bailed the banks out. Next crash, we bailed the banks in. According to Armstrong Economics, the crash will come between 2028 and 2032. I'm surprised it's going to take that long. I really am. I thought it was going to be sooner, Julie, but I'm sure there is going to be a crash. She's an idiot. Yeah, well, they're all idiots. They really are, with very few exceptions. I mean, Alex Antich, Canavan, Babbitt. There are very few in Parliament who actually have two brain cells to rub together. And it's obvious when you listen to any of them talk. They have no understanding, no knowledge. They just have a very well-paid job and very good working conditions. I don't bother putting any more money in my super fund. I know what's coming. And you know what? A lot of people are going to do that. A lot of people are going to do that. And a lot of people are going to invest in things like metals where they don't actually have to necessarily declare them. And I mean, from what I understand, income tax is illegal anyway. So there's a few good men and women, but all on different teams. Exactly, Penny. They need to get together. And if they got together, we'd be so strong. They don't see it. They just don't get it. But you're right. Stand Up Australia is doing some great work. And is Stand Up Australia, that's not, who is that? That's not, uh, I just said her name before. No, I'm thinking of Reignite Democracy. Um, I'm not sure who Stand Up Australia is. Why do I not know it? I know the name. And superannuation, when they leave Parliament, no matter how bad the performance, and they don't have to pay tax on it. If RFK can't have a moratorium on the jabs because big pharma say their products are safe and effective, then repeal the PrEP Act based on their beliefs. He has to repeal the PrEP Act. He has to repeal the 1986 VICP, Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, the Act. And he also has to get rid of direct-to-consumer marketing of drugs and vaccines. If he did those three things, the problem would solve itself. Back to vaccination. Thank you, Robin. A pro-medical friend of mine recently said that she thinks that there is no fetal matter in any vaccines anymore. I'm pretty sure she's wrong and told her so. She is wrong. It's in the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine. It's in the rabies vaccine. It's in the chickenpox vaccine. It's in COVID jabs. And it may be in something else that I'm forgetting, but I can't remember now. She's absolutely wrong. Look for Wistar 231. Look for HeLa cells. These are all aborted fetal cells. He will, but he can't do it in the next hour. I know, and I'm impatient. But the thing is, he made an agreement with Bill Cassidy, who's a senator and a doctor in the Senate, a Republican senator in the United States, and I think that's preventing him from doing a lot of things. I think he should just go back on his word. She comes from a nursing family. They can't critically think anymore. Try catching up with Naomi Wiles. Pfizer papers available on Amazon. I have a copy of it. It's fantastic. It's not Wild. It's Naomi Wolf, um, or Dr. Sam Bailey. She's wonderful. She's the one who really got me to understand that there is no such thing as a pathogenic virus, and that the whole thing is a lie. They have never isolated one virus or proof they existed. Virology is a fake science invented for profit. Virology, psychology, epidemiology, they're all fake. Standupaustralia.com.au. Thank you, Anne. I'll check it out. I know I've heard of it before and my brain is just frozen. They're not liking what's being said. Wolf, yeah, Naomi Wolf. Yeah, I love Sam Bailey too. She's amazing. So yeah, there are a lot of good people out there. There are a lot of good things happening. And I think that's why we're seeing so much panic going on amongst the mainstream, because they don't want to lose power. They feel it slipping away from them and they want to grasp onto it. They're going to have as many pandemics as they can. They're going to have measles outbreaks and all sorts of other things so that they can try and maintain that power. But God willing, there will be enough people who wake up and see the lies that they're being told, that it's not going to matter. They can say anything they want. The World Health Organization can say anything they want. The government can sign all the treaties they want. If enough people know the truth, it's not going to make a difference. And that's what I think we have to hope for, because we can't hope for government. We can't hope for the medical community because they're all cowards. There are so many doctors who know that they're killing people and they keep doing it. And I don't know how they live with themselves. But we have to make sure that people are aware of what's happening. Look up books about bacteria versus viruses. The language is very different. Bacteria are known as and the language shows that, but viruses keep being referred to as probable or likely or thought to be. I love the weasel words they use. They have not got the gray matter to intelligently deal with what they are exposed to now. What they are exposed they are exposed now. Yes, they are exposed to people like us, but too many people still believe them. And we need to try and somehow get them to open their eyes. It's like Matthias Desmet talked about in his book, Psychology of Totalitarianism. It's this thing where you get into a God, I'm losing my words. Mass formation psychosis. And then even if you are presented with proof, even if it is obvious and logical and you can see it, you can't take it in because you're in this psychotic syndrome where you can't really take in truth or evidence anymore. And it's hard to get people out of that. I bought Sherry Tenpenny's book the other day. Amazing info in there. I didn't even know she'd written one. I love Sherry Tenpenny. She's been around a very long time. The other person I've come across is Dr. Brian Artis. I caught up with 4 of his podcasts on Brighteon in my interviews with Mike Adams. I like Brian Artis, but I don't really agree with him when he talks about the snake venom in the vaccines. It's possible, but I don't know if I believe that. People are changing, though, Meryl. The ones that used to be more open minded now just have blank looks on their faces. They literally cannot take in what they're trying to tell them. And I read something that what's the gland that's here? I think I've lost mine. Yeah, I know. That's what Brian Artis says. There's snake venom in the vaccines and the COVID jabs. So the pituitary gland. Pineal gland. Yes, thank you. That they're saying that the vaccine actually destroys the pineal gland, and that's why people's personalities are changing and why they're no longer able to think. Maybe that's what's wrong with me. I don't know, but thank you guys. I couldn't remember it. So yeah, the pineal gland is very important, and it's our third eye, and um, a lot of people have said that the vaccine has been destroying the pineal gland. There have been tests that they've done. I'm not sure. I just saw this in a headline. I didn't read the article. But if that's the case, then it does explain a lot about the people who are unable to take in more information and have changed personalities so dreadfully. I know people who've taken the jabs and they are not the same. They are not at all the same. And it's scary. I think the jabs destroy everything. Did they have a predilection for the pineal gland like they did for reproductive organs? I'm not sure, but I remember. Again, this was something that was reported at the time before the jab was even released to the public. During the I can't say pre-licensure trial because they weren't licensed. Before they were released to the public, there was a report that came out that said a guy who took the jab said, "I can no longer feel God." And a lot of people think that the pineal gland is basically one of the ways that we connect to the eternal. And so, was it planned to do that? I have no idea, but I wouldn't doubt it. On a positive note, several COVID-19 vaccine injured bereaved got to address the New Zealand Royal Commission today. Oh, that's fantastic, Colleen. You know, I don't know how many of you saw Jacinda Ardern on Oprah. I didn't see it. I watched clips of it on YouTube, and this woman was talking about how it's terrible that people are using fear now for things. Nobody should ever use fear. And I'm like, do you even look at yourself in the mirror and think back to what you did to those poor people in New Zealand? My sister-in-law was astonished I wasn't blaming Trump for the riots in LA. The media has a lot to answer for. If Trump is letting RFK do his thing, then Trump's good in my books. And yeah, I think he is. I don't think that Trump is the problem. I do think that Senator Cassidy is. And I think that there was some sort of, because Kennedy would not have been approved without Cassidy's vote. And I think that he made a deal with Cassidy that he wouldn't do certain things unless unless Cassidy gave him approval. And like I said, he may have made that deal, but children are dying every day. And I think he's got to just say, screw you, Cassidy. I'm doing what I want to do and what I promised to do and what the freedom community is waiting for me to do. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not privy to all of that, but to me, it should have been done by now. I think the first thing he should have done was to withdraw any sort of approval for any mRNA products because they're obviously unsafe and obviously not working. I can't bear watching Ardern. You know, I saw a picture of her when she was a teenager in high school, and she was so pretty and so sweet looking. And now she looks like a ghoul. I don't understand her, like her whole soul has been destroyed, I think. We're under so much attack from Vax poison in our water, food, air that I'm not sure we're not going to make it. Peter, I feel that way too, and I hope that we're not wrong. That we're wrong about that. I really do, because we didn't take the jab, but they're spraying stuff on us every single day, and who knows what's being shed from people who took the jab. Except the Trump administration is using the Palantir spyware. Yeah, they are, and that's really dangerous and bad. Find me a truly good administration. I don't think they exist. I think Cassidy is the huge problem. I do too, Penny, but Trump will sack him if the public aren't ready. I think he's up for election in the midterms, so hopefully he'll be primaried. They are trying to get permission to have more submissions address the New Zealand RC in coming weeks. Colleen, could you let me know when you find out? Maybe send a message or write to me at admin@myinformedchoice.com.au. Yeah, Palantir. That's fine. I knew what you meant. Ardern is a white witch. St. Jacinda is a WEF Young Global Leader graduate like Greg Hunt and Sarah Hanson Young. Her first speech to the UN was about crushing free speech. These people are so evil. Florida has banned chemtrails. And Penny, it's not just Florida. I think there's 6 or 7 states that have banned them now. Oh, yeah, me too. I'm so enjoying this. I hope everybody else is enjoying this too. It's a really good conversation. Like I said, I might look at doing this on YouTube, but I don't know. I just love to be able to talk to people instead of just looking at the comments. But so has Tennessee, I think. And I think Iowa, and I can't remember. I'm pretty sure there's 6 or 7 states that have banned it. But it's mainly just lip service. I don't think the chemtrails are actually being stopped. From what I understand, they've now put it into jet fuel. So I don't think there's any way to stop it except to actually stop it at the source. It's no longer just special planes that are putting out that crap. It's in jet fuel. Yeah, thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. Me too. And we've got 78 people here, guys. I can't believe that. 78 people. I was expecting maybe 5 or 6. So I'm really honored that you guys are spending your time with me here. That's wonderful. Except to ground the planes. Yeah, or stop putting it in the fuel. Outlaw it at the source. I refuse to use YouTube as it's Google owned. Did I say YouTube or did I mean Zoom? I meant Zoom. Sorry, I meant Zoom. Oh, thank you, Colleen. I've missed you too. I have to be honest with you. I've gone through some hard times and um oh thank you, Robin. So I'm so happy to be here again. I really am. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. Um and it's lovely. It really is lovely. I used to love doing Under the Wire and I missed it. I missed it. Now, while we're all together here, does anybody who's watching this now or will be watching this in the future feel like giving me a hand? I need someone to help me with scheduling. I just don't have the time to do it all. And oh, thank you, Penny. Yeah, me too. Um, and I need some help with scheduling. I have so many people that I want to interview and I just don't have the time to go and contact them all and write the schedule up and do all of this stuff. When I worked for the AVN and I had Under the Wire, we had a VA and she did all of that and it was great because all I had to do was do my research and then do the interview. So she contacted people, she scheduled everything, she did it all. And I don't have the money to do it. I have to be honest. I just don't have the money to do it. I estimate that it'll be about 2 hours a week. So if anybody would like to put their hand up and say, yes, I'd like to either find out more about that or I'd like to come and help. And when I say come and help, you can do it from home. You don't have to come here. That would be great. No, Penny, I understand. That's fine. But if anybody listening to this has the time and the drive to do that, I would love to hear from you because it's going to be difficult for me to do all of this. But yeah, let me know. Just let me know. Send me a message or my email is admin@myinformedchoice.com.au. So just send me a message and say, I'd like to know more about this. Thanks, Jenny. I appreciate that. I'm enjoying it too. I probably will have to leave fairly soon. Email call. Oh, okay, thank you. I will, Robin. Absolutely. Thank you for that. I know you've certainly got a lot of energy and drive, so you're the kind of person who would be great doing this. So, yeah, and it's not a huge burden. I think doing this. It's just that it's one extra thing that I just don't have time for. So, I'd love to get some help with that. And speaking of that, if there is anybody that you would like to see interviewed on Informed Choice, let me know. Send me an email or put a message on Substack, one or the other. I have not really been using the chat feature on Substack. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Robin. I haven't been using the chat feature on Substack, and I don't even know how it works, to be honest with you, but I might put a couple of things on the chat, asking people if they would like to put names forward for someone they'd like to see interviewed. And then I will see if I can get them on the show. Be really good. So, let me know, because I want this to be interactive as much as possible. I want people to be able to have their say about this and to also participate in the interviews when they happen, ask questions, do those sorts of things. We did that on Under the Wire, and it was really effective, and I really enjoyed it, and I think the audience enjoyed it too. So I'd like to continue that. I got to tell you, I was so nervous about coming on tonight because it had been such a long time, and I've enjoyed this so much. And I hope you guys have too. My phone battery is about to die. Mary Holland. Now, I interviewed her before on Under the Wire, and I'd love to interview her again. She's working with the Children's Health Defense, and I think she's their general counsel, and she's a brilliant woman. I'd love to interview her. Good suggestion, Penny. So, yeah, and I know there's a lot of people out there. Wonder if I can get Bobby Kennedy on. That would be incredible. So yeah, if there's no more questions, I know I can't plug my phone in because it's on a stand and I can't put the charger on with it plugged in. So unfortunately, yeah, no, I don't think he'll come on. I was joking. He couldn't possibly come on this show. He would get so much flack for that, being interviewed by an anti-vaxxer. He actually put out a statement today on X, and I commented on it. I was a bit shirty with him. He made a statement that, oh, she's the CEO of CHD. I didn't know that. I just thought she was general counsel. Thank you. Um, he made a statement today about firing the 17 people on ASIP. And he said he was going to be very careful with who he replaced them with, and he was not going to replace them with anti vaxxers. And I got really upset at that. And I said to him, which I'm sure he never read, but I made a comment that I think that using the pejorative anti vaxxer was problematic because they changed the definition of anti-vaxxer when COVID started, and an anti-vaxxer is someone who does not approve of compulsory or mandatory vaccination. So as far as I'm concerned, all 17 members on the committee should be anti-vaxxers. Yeah, he probably did mean that, Penny, but he shouldn't have said that. He's trying to please you. I know, I know. Any suggestions, Ray? Books for those learning about vaxes? Anyone can comment. It depends on where you are on your journey. If you're just starting out, then there's a book by Wendy. Oh my God, Wendy, I'm so sorry. I forgot your last name now. It's on the AVN bookshop. Penny, I think you know her. And it's called Vaccine Myths. And it's a very basic book, great for someone just starting out. Um, uh, Greg Beatty's book, Fooling Ourselves on the Fundamental Value of Vaccines, is amazing. You can read it in 4 hours, and it's got graphs. And anyone who reads that knows straight away that vaccines have never saved one life. And Suzanne Humphrey's book, Dissolving Illusions, a more advanced book, but one that stays with you and it's easy to read. So, yeah, so Adam, Dissolving Illusions, absolutely. It is a brilliant book. And of course, the Pfizer papers by Naomi Wolf is great, but that's not a reading book. It's not that easy to read. Uh, Scientific Skeptics, I'm an old hand, but all the books I read are old. So yeah, there are a lot of good books out there, an awful lot of good books out there. And if you want to look at some of the books that are available, avn.org.au has a bookshop, and just go to their website and you can scroll through many, many books. I have to tell you, I'm in the process of taking apart the Under the Wires set. My husband's going to get his office back again, and all the books I had in there. I'm getting rid of all my vaccination books. I'm giving them all to Anita, and she reads. This woman reads more than anyone I've ever known in my entire life. I think within 12 months she'll have read them all. I love the one from the guy with the boy with autism. Oh, that is underestimated. Oh, yes. That is such a good book. Who is the author? Underestimated. Um, he also wrote How to End the Autism Epidemic. I can remember the titles. I can't remember his name, but Underestimated. I've read it twice, and I'm probably ready to read it a third time again. It is such an excellent book. If you know anyone who has a child who is not speaking, an autistic child who is not speaking, please get them this book. Everyone needs to read this book because the children who we've been calling nonverbal, they simply don't have the facility to speak, but their brains are working. They can comprehend everything, and they've been treated like morons for their whole lives. It's very sad. So, underestimated. J.B. Handley, that's it. Thank you, Robin. J.B. Handley. And I interviewed him on Under the Wire too, and his son Jamie, who the book was written about. And amazing family, amazing book. Everyone should read this. I think everyone in the world, whether they know someone with autism or not, they should read that book. Yeah, thank you for making that recommendation. I forgot about it. Oh, Turtles All the Way Down. Yes, Turtles All the Way Down is another great book. See, the more I think about this and the more you suggest, the more it comes to the fore. And The Moth in the Iron Lung, if you have anyone who's interested in polio, The Moth in the Iron Lung is an amazing book. Again, a very short book, very easy to read. I highly recommend that for anyone who's interested in polio. You know, that's the thing you get all the time. I'm going on low power mode. I've got about 2 minutes before this thing dies. um, so yeah, whenever you talk about vaccines, people say, "But what about polio?" You know, they think that vaccines stopped us from getting polio, and The Moth in the Iron Lung will put that to rest once and for all. What's new US read? Which one are you talking about, Penny? Is that Turtles All the Way Down? No? Which book is it? But there are lots of really good books out there. Yeah, me too. Me too. Everyone, thank you so, so, so much. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I am so grateful to you for coming along, and I will schedule another one of these in the next couple of weeks. And I'll be giving you a call, Robin, also to talk to you about scheduling. So thank you all. Mwah. Good night, all, and I will talk to you soon. Okay? Bye bye.